wasn't automatic. The way I want you every time I see shades of you when I don't want to. Can't think straight since you've been gone. Saw someone out in your go-to outfit right when I thought I was on. You got me off track, got me thinking abstract. Baby, look at what you've done. Still you've got me wanting somebody, already caught. Time to love it, but I hate that. Black jeans and dusty blue still make me think of you. I hesitate to say the ocean could hold a candle to your eyes. You shut the door and cut me open. Now I'm wishing I was colorblind, 'cause I see shades of you when I don't want to. Right when I thought I was on. You got me off track, got me thinking abstract. Baby, look at what you've done. Still you've got me wanting somebody, already caught. Time to love it, but I hate that. Black jeans and dusty blue still make me think of you. You got me off track, got me thinking abstract. Baby, look at what you've done. Still you've got me wanting somebody, already caught. Time to love it, but I hate that. Black jeans and dusty blue still make me think of you.
You're listening to the RMPodcast, the official podcast of Red Moon Productions. Here are your hosts, Brandon Davidson, Keith Cheatham, and Sean Sebastian. Enjoy.
Hello and welcome to another episode of the Red Moon Podcast. I am one of your hosts, Brandon Davidson, alongside our normal new host,
Sean Sebastian.
and Keith Cheatham. All right, guys, we're back for another live episode here on the Red Moon Podcast. Again, we got to remind all our listeners out there, we want them to like, subscribe, and share everywhere on all of our platforms, Facebook, YouTube, Twitter. We need all the help we can get, guys, second week in a row. But come on, help us out. Get out there, watch the show, and subscribe and like our stuff. Can't wait to hear from you. Again, second episode live. All right.
So excited.
I got to
So
throw this
excited.
out there, guys. I
Throw
got
it
to
out
ask
there.
you all because we had the time change this past week. How are y'all feeling? Y'all feeling okay?
yeah.
Are y'all a little bit, you know?
I'm
You didn't-
I'm
you
tired,
okay?
but not because of the time change. Because I closed, like I had to close and then open,
Oh.
so I didn't go to bed till like 1 a.m. and then got up at 5 a.m.
I got you.
But I mean, the time, like I don't know. I
Yeah,
just it never affected. I mean,
Yeah,
I know
it
it's
never
coming.
bothered me.
Well, Sean, it sounds
Yeah.
like you got some
I'm going
sickness,
to tell you,
something in your...
it's nothing to do with the time change. It's to do with the weather change.
The weather change?
Good
Yes.
old Kentucky weather.
That's what it is?
Yes.
Well, it didn't really affect me none. I'm
Yeah.
fine. But I will say that...
I mean, there's always some.
True.
There's always people. That
well, and I mean, the big argument, obviously, every year we come up with the same argument where it's like, oh, we need to freaking
we need to stop
doing daylight
sa-
saving
yeah,
time.
Yeah.
First off, do you know it's daylight saving time, not savings time?
Yeah,
'Cause you're
it's
saving
not a
day-
bank.
You're saving daylight.
I learned that from work. I didn't know. I always thought savings time. I don't care.
I get why we do it, and
Yeah.
I don't mind. I really don't. But other people, Keith, I don't know.
You are bleeding.
I am,
Uh-oh. What's he
am.
bleeding? He's
Wow.
bleeding.
I have no idea.
Hold
but
that
he's
up to the
bleeding.
camera.
Just
We got
randomly
visual.
bleeding.
Well, at least it's red.
It is. I bleed red for Red Moon.
That's right. That's right.
No
Well,
one else
guys,
bleeds red for that reason.
Yeah,
we got a great episode.
we do.
We got a
I
great
agree.
episode. Some more controversy with Captain Marvel. What are we going to review it? It's had a lot of buzz in terms of, well,
What
positive
are we gonna
and
review it, or what are we
mediocre.
going to rate it?
Yeah.
Well, both. But it's like, we've I don't know. There's been a lot of people who have had their fair share to say. A lot of trolls that have gotten on the internet, and I guess, well, we'll get into all of that after the official review.
We will.
So I mean, I don't know. Should we just dive right into it, because it is kind of
12?
It's a dwelve. Should we delve?
We'll
into
delve
it?
into it, Brandon.
All
You're
right.
about to drip on the floor, Keith.
Ooh,
Well, we'll get it.
that's gross.
Brandon's got blood on my floor, so I feel like it's only.
It's fair.
That's
It's
fitting.
fair.
What? When
It's
did I
fair.
get blood on your floor? Are you going to talk about
We
that?
know
Long
that
time
Why don't we
ago.
just
Long
get
time-
into the
Neil
the
knows
review.
what we're talking
He
about.
knows.
All
He
right.
knows.
Well, let's get right into that review.
Another piece of the puzzle sets itself into place, and the culmination of 22 films in the MCU becomes one step closer to finishing a story started in 2008's Iron Man. Endgame is the last piece of that puzzle, where we finally see the Avengers reassemble to defeat Thanos and undo the snap that wiped out half of all living things. Before that could happen, however, there was still one question that needed answering. Who did Fury page in the Infinity War end credits scene? The answer has arrived, and the future of the MCU has been introduced. Captain Marvel has released, and though its star has stirred up plenty of controversy, the film itself seems to be mostly unaffected. Despite some bad reviews, whether legitimately earned or just the attack of those angered by media politics, the film has received mostly positive reviews amongst critics and has beaten Black Panther in its opening weekend. This begs the question, is Captain Marvel a good film? Marvel films at this point will make money, and it would take a truly horrendous film at this point to stop them from automatically garnering mad cash on opening weekends. But with so many mixed reviews and all the swirling controversy, it's hard to trust the opinions out there right now. So I will seek to set the record straight. Fear not, Marvel fans. If you have loved the previous 21 films released by the MCU, you have no reason to worry. Captain Marvel may not astound and entertain you as much as some of Marvel's best films in the past, but it is far from their worst. And seeing as there have arguably been no terrible films in the MCU, just many lackluster ones, you should have a pretty enjoyable viewing experience. This does not mean Captain Marvel is without its flaws, but we will dive into all of this. Starring Brie Larson as the titular hero, Captain Marvel tells the story of Carol Danvers, a pilot in the United States Air Force, who during bizarre events surrounding a crash while test flying a new experimental plane, loses her memory and ends up far from her home on Earth with the Kree, an alien race first introduced in Guardians of the Galaxy. The Kree are at war with the Skrulls, another alien race, one which can shape-shift and take the form of anyone it sees. Carol, known as Veers by the Kree, begins the film on the Kree homeworld as a member of Star Force, an elite group in the Kree military that fulfills special ops. When assigned to locate a missing undercover Kree operative, Carol is captured by the Skrulls and has memories extracted from her mind. Those memories, long since lost to Carol, could hold the key to the Kree-Skrull War and to Carol's lost past. Directed by Anna Bolden and Ryan Fleck, two up-and-coming directors who have made a name for themselves in the indie circuit, Captain Marvel plays out pretty similarly to other Marvel origin films. Bolden and Fleck do try and shake up the bland formula by introducing us to an already established Danvers who has already begun mastering her powers and showing us the origin of her powers through flashbacks as Danvers recovers her lost memories. And while I did enjoy and appreciate this route they chose in telling their story, it does not completely refresh a tired formula. Part of this is due to the fact that we rarely get to see Danvers full out use her powers until the very end. There are some fights here and there, but after movies like Guardians of the Galaxy, Civil War, Black Panther, Thor Ragnarok, and Infinity War, the movie is fairly stale until the end. Likewise, the film tries to maintain the humor established throughout the MCU, but does little to mix it up and lacks much of the wit seen in the same previously mentioned MCU films, with some jokes and gags just coming off goofy. The film also falls to poor world building, with this film, more than any other Marvel film, seeming to rely too heavily on the fact that audiences are well accustomed to seeing bizarre cosmic creatures and worlds. When introduced to new settings, Guardians, Ragnarok, and even Black Panther took time to show us civilizations with their own customs and real way of life. You believed Nowhere, Sakaar, and Wakanda were real places. It's not that the Kree and the Skrulls are unbelievable, it's just that so many unique aspects of their history are glossed over that it makes it hard to care about either side winning their war or Carol's place in it. Besides these lackluster aspects, the overall film is enjoyable. I found Larson, who has received some criticism surrounding her performance, as a fine choice of Carol Danvers / Captain Marvel. If anything, the role just didn't offer her a lot of range to work with, but the standoffish and detached performance is who the character was at this point in her story, and she played it well. We can only hope she gets a wider range of material to chew on in future installments. Jude Law as Yanrog is a stereotypical mentor / rival, harsh and conceited, but again played well. And Nick Fury, reprised by Samuel L. Jackson, steals every scene he's involved in, something I expect nothing less from Samuel L. Jackson. The story is interesting, and I look forward to seeing more of these characters. With tighter writing and direction, Captain Marvel could have been more of a Marvel, pun intended, as it is fun but has just as many misses as successes. It's not the worst film in the MCU, it just doesn't quite have the depth of its better predecessors, but nothing that can't be fixed in the future. Especially as we get to see the Russo brothers take a crack at the character in Avengers Endgame in just a little over a month's time. I give Captain Marvel 2.5 out of 4 stars.
All right, that was our review of Captain Marvel. 2.5 out of 4 stars.
Yes,
from
2.5.
Keith Cheatham. I would say 2.
You'd give it 2?
I would go 2.
You would go
Yeah.
2? Keith, you already gave it, 2.5.
Yeah.
I would go, I'm going to say, y'all are going to hate me. I'm going to say 3.
3.
I would say 3. I'd
Brandon
give
gives it
3.
as high as 3.
3, yeah.
Yeah.
I know.
Which
I know
is
we're all
sometime-
evenly divided on this.
Which is sometimes odd. I feel like
Mhm.
more often than not, me and Sean usually kind of agree.
Yeah.
Brandon's
And then-
usually a little more critical than,
Yeah.
than we are.
So
Yeah.
it
But,
is interesting that this time around, you 3 and then
3
2.5
and then 2.5
yeah,
and 2.
yeah.
So
Yeah.
let's explain a little bit.
Yeah.
First off,
So
Yeah.
I have to. I'm staring back and forth at you two. I mean,
I don't know
I
why.
just
What are
have,
you looking
I
at?
have,
yeah, what
this
are you
is just-
what are
this
you
is just
offended by something?
Naturally long.
What offends you?
I'm not sure what you
you-
have on top of your head. Sean looks
Headphones?
Sean looks great right now. I don't know what this is on you though.
What are you
I
talking
think the
about?
headband. I don't like it.
I didn't have a choice, okay? I didn't have a choice in the headband.
Okay.
I like the way I look, okay?
Yeah, there's
So-
nothing wrong with the way he looks.
Yeah, thank you, Sean.
I mean, John
Thank you.
Cena's new commercial says it all. Like, American means to accept everybody.
That's
I
right.
have not seen John Cena's commercial
It's a patriotic
because
commercial.
you can't see John Cena.
Yeah. If you're talking about the
I actually got that. That was good. That was good.
I'm just saying. Huh?
yeah,
I love it.
just
I
got
love
it. Yep. Yep.
So, Sean,
But
explain
yes.
explain our.
Well, you may have noticed that
First off, I don't know. Mine kind of like it smells. It smells good.
does it?
I don't, who gave these to you? These are from your.
That's
your,
from my mom.
Oh, this is from your
And
mom.
This is from my
Thank you,
wife's-
Kim.
My wife's friend Laura. But coming out of the review, you probably noticed, that our hair has changed.
Just a tad.
And
No.
Just
a
a
little
little
bit.
bit.
We thought we would be some smart alecks, and there were some comments made prior to the release of Captain Marvel that Brie Larson made, where she kind of criticized some of the fans and some of the people who mostly view Marvel movies, and said she really didn't care what the opinions of white males were.
Oh, of course.
So we really thought we would just come out and kind of review the movie as 3 white females. And so we're going to look this way through the entirety of our discussion of this
Captain
movie.
Marvel, yes.
And then we will remove them. Now, don't get me wrong,
So as
ladies.
to not offend.
Yeah.
correct?
Ladies out there, like the wig, we understand this does not make us a woman, amongst other things. Don't make men women, but we're here.
We're here, and we have
look
an
our
opinion.
best, and we have an opinion.
That's
So,
right. Keith, how come you didn't join in? Well, I guess your hair is
have
kind of long.
pretty
well,
hair.
we couldn't locate
My pretty hair
3
is
wigs,
natural.
That's true.
but he does have beautiful locks.
He does.
Yes.
Well,
I mean,
you,
I guess
you
we'll
look
let him
very
go.
stunning
Yes.
there.
Well,
Sean.
it's in my.
I know
It's in
that's
my mouth a
you know
little bit.
I'll say
Yeah.
this about women, man. I give them credit. It's like
Yeah.
you got to deal with all this, and
Yeah.
and it's like, but it kind of reminds me of like being in like a like I want to be like in a band.
You
like,
do.
not in a
You-
hair
you-
band,
you
but like
see-
Yeah,
look
I
like
look at
a.
I look
you
at
look like
you and I
Kurt
think
Cobain.
I say I look at you
Oh,
and I
Yeah,
think
I
you
could be
kinda look
like,
like-
I
smells
think
like
Wayne's
Teen
World or something. Yeah, I look at Sean and
Yeah.
I just think,
Gay,
no,
What?
just
trans,
you're a very ugly woman. I'm sorry.
drag.
Oh, so
Yeah,
you're
I do not make a very pretty woman.
So then let's go through the explanation of
Yeah.
why we would give our review, because I gave it the highest rated. I'll probably go
did.
last.
You rated
Sean,
it
I think we
3.
should start with you because you gave it 2.
Yeah, well, go ahead.
I mean, Keith, we already heard
No,
yours.
no, I was just
He's
saying,
like,
yeah,
I
yeah.
wrote the review, so you
no,
Yeah.
no,
with
no.
me.
I was curious.
No, I mean, my 2-star review, it's a lot of things. I did not think Brie Larson did that great. Thought her performance was pretty bland. Keith tells me that's the character. That's who she's supposed to be. But there's only so many times you can do the Top Gun Maverick smirk
right.
in a movie
Right.
and get away with it. And I felt like that was really her only expression. There was supposed to be some emotional connection in the movie between her and her co-pilot or friend Rambo or whatever her name was, and I never got it because I just didn't feel anything for any of the characters.
You wanted Goose.
I
You
needed
wanted
Goose.
You needed Goose.
Goose.
You needed white men. Is
there
what we're trying
was
to say,
a-
Sean.
there was
No,
a
it's
It's
wrong.
got nothing
Brandon.
to do with the hype or the controversy going into it. I really set that aside because I wanted this to be a great lead-in to Endgame, and I don't feel like it is. I feel like it is an origin story. And
yeah,
not,
definitely.
not a-
From the side, I'm not gonna lie. You look like a freaking rocker. You look like you should be in Queen.
Yeah.
Oh crap! All right.
but,
I disagree.
I don't know, but yeah, I mean, I just felt like it fell short. Some of their performances did. The story was very generic, very straightforward. I was talking to Neil. We were playing Destiny the other night, and I was talking to him on there, and we're agreeing on some things. But I'm just like, right at the very beginning, they throw out the pager in the little security office, and you're kind of like, all right,
Setting it up.
already.
Yep,
You know,
setting it up.
and there wasn't really any surprise. There wasn't the story. Like I said, was very generic. You know, kind of from the beginning that Jude Law is going to end up being a bad guy, and that the villain is flip flopped. So you kind of know that these Skrulls are going to end up being somewhat of a somewhat the good guy. But I just didn't. It didn't click with me. I almost fell asleep halfway through the movie. It was very slow.
Well, you
It was
even
kinda
said
boring.
Black Panther was better.
Black
than
Panther
this.
was it was a more solid
and we
film
didn't.
than
We weren't
this.
too highly
Yeah.
too fond of that
And
one.
I- and-
Well, I mean, I didn't have a problem with Black
This
Panther
movie
either.
definitely put Black Panther, above. Again, for me, me and Keith were talking earlier. Out of the 22
Yeah, this is the
22
22nd.
films, like I would put this
Yes.
at number 4 from the bottom.
Wow.
Like I think Thor 1 and or Iron Man 3.
Iron
Thor
Man
is
3,
the
yeah.
worst. Thor 1, I would say probably this movie, and then Doctor Strange.
Doctor Strange, yeah,
and then
no.
Black Panther, and
Right.
then on up.
Well,
through
I
the
was gonna
rest of
say,
them.
I would agree with you. I definitely don't think. I don't know. I don't. All the hair gets in your
Just
face.
the hair.
Not used to it.
Everywhere.
Just not used to it. Just gotta flip it out of my face.
I think just feel like
I
you're
think-
enjoying doing that.
I
a lot.
think that 3 out of 4 stars to me, the way I kind of rationalized it was when I thought about the MCU as across the board.
Yeah.
I agree with you. I think even the films that are it does, man. But I really did think that, or I really do think that the films that are not as as strong in the series,
Right.
still kind of hold a certain caliber that I wouldn't. I mean, honestly, Iron Man 3 I'd put at the bottom, and even that's still a 2.5.
Yeah.
Maybe a 2
Yeah,
for me.
for what it was, yeah.
So for honestly, the way I thought of it is, it's like it wasn't a bad movie. It was generic. It was another origin film.
Yeah.
We've seen plenty of these. I think Keith hit on it perfectly in his review where he was talking about even with Black Panther being an origin film, it was able to put you into that world.
Yeah.
It's,
Oh yeah.
And it was able
much
to-
better world building.
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. And so I think overall this one just seemed to fall flat in terms of I think Samuel L. Jackson was the best character in the whole film.
Yes,
And
absolutely.
even then I was surprised that they had kept him completely his young. What do they
The
do?
de-aging.
The de-aging.
Yeah, that was fantastic.
I thought they ended up keeping the de-aging. I thought that was fantastic, the way they kept it throughout the whole film.
Yeah.
I thought it was going to be a gimmick and just in a few scenes.
Yeah, no.
No, it's throughout the entirety of the film.
And maybe that's where all the budget for CG went, because
Yeah.
I felt like a lot of that was like subpar. And Neil pointed this out to me too, and I agree. But the Skrulls look like Star Trek Deep Space Nine. Like, I mean, they were
they
terrible
did,
looking.
They did well, and honestly, part of me thought, I was like, are they going for like a '90s, TV
that may
feel
be,
because of the
And
costuming?
And I would say, like, along with the '90s theme and that time frame, the blockbuster video, the soundtrack. Obviously, I even had to look one of the songs up while we were in the theater, because I was like, the song by No Doubt. I don't really think that was that back in the 90s.
Oh, yeah. But you ended up looking it up, and it came out that year
that this movie was set in. So it was a pretty popular song then, and obviously the song is "I'm Just a Girl," which is all about the feminism thing.
Right. And here's the thing, that was the one thing that I don't know. We're about to read something from our good buddy Neil, who sent us, and he kind of,
as much as they touted, like even the director was like, I really wanted to make the movie focused on the fact that she's this powerful woman, and Brie Larson did all these tours expressing like the feminist angle. I didn't really feel like the movie was that blatant about it.
No.
Now I know we're going to read an email here where Neil felt pretty opposite, but
right.
I mean, yeah, there were definitely scenes. I mean, they had the whole like her getting like bullied, kind of like when she's in basic training, and her, I assume her father telling her, she shouldn't be on the racetrack and she's not good enough. And they had that stuff kind of jabbing at the fact that, because she's a girl, she can't do what men can. But they were kind of small scenes, and I just felt like they kind of fit with the movie. Anyways, I didn't think it was just so in your face that it didn't bother me. I didn't think it was bad.
I felt the same way. I thought, honestly, to me, a lot of that could have been attributed to, I think, just simply, got to rise above it, pick yourself up. I didn't think it was necessarily. I thought, there were obviously some nods, like for instance with the No Doubt song, where there's some obvious, like, okay, this is woman power.
Yeah, I mean, that was obvious.
But even then, to me, it wasn't so in your face that I just was completely turned off by the film. Mm-hmm. I felt like in a way, they still were trying to, I think almost play in the same sense that Black Panther was, majority black cast, and they were playing that angle with this film. But what was interesting is Brie Larson even tweeted about how her favorite superhero is Wonder Woman.
Yeah.
And I thought it was funny because it was like, well, that was a better movie.
Yeah.
A way better movie. And
yeah.
so I thought it was interesting that she picked that. And then yet it's like, I feel like in terms of when you talk about what is a good example for women to follow, I think Wonder Woman's a much better movie to point to.
Yeah, and people thought that movie was going to be so feminist. They were going crazy because the movie wasn't that way. It didn't go that direction. It made her more of a traditional woman, but still the awesome badass superhero that she is.
Yes,
but
exactly.
She still allowed the man to lead a little bit. She was very much into, like you see the Keith pointed out, the children, the baby part where she's like, oh, so she's still
had a nurturing side to her.
Yeah, nurturing side, exactly. And I enjoyed that. That's what made Wonder Woman such a good movie, and because it wasn't so in your face. And I don't necessarily agree with Neil on all of what he says. There are a couple of parts that I'm just like, yeah, they threw those in there just to get this across, but it wasn't crazy. So
I just want to point out there was a goose. You said it would have been if there was a goose.
Oh, there was a
cat
goose?
Goose.
Oh,
the cat's name was
that's
Goose.
why the cat's name was Goose. Did
I'm an
you
idiot.
not get that?
I did, and I totally forgot. That was my bad.
But no, I just felt like this movie was, for the most part, fairly mediocre. I mean, you all have said most of what I think there is to be said. I don't think it was anywhere near their worst movie. I mean, but
no,
it was
not
just,
at all.
No.
I just thought, and as far as the CGI was not on par. The Skrulls, especially being like, this is going to, I think, my biggest problem with the movie, because what I'm about to say right now is the Skrulls are a major presence in the Marvel comics. So when they announced the Skrulls were going to be in this movie, a lot of comic fans got excited because they are a villain that is pretty huge in the comics, and people were expecting to see some bigger storylines down the road come from this. One of which being the Secret Invasion storyline, which they could still do. We just don't know yet. But the problem is that what they treated a lot of the Skrulls and the story and the material in this movie as if people already knew about them. which is something I have griped about before from any movie that adapts a book, a manga, an anime, any of that. When you make a film and expect people to already know the source material, it's not a good movie.
Yeah.
And I felt like this movie had that problem.
Which is interesting considering the Marvel Universe is I mean, that's kind of what they've had a knack of doing is creating. Introducing a lot of these things.
Nobody knew anything about Guardians of
the
Galaxy. If you had told me they were going to make a movie with Rocket and Groot that would be believable, I would have thought you were crazy, but they did it. So the fact that they kind of backslid with this movie and didn't really build the world and set these things up in a believable manner is, I think, what kind of hurt it for me. And it wasn't that it was bad. It was just that they relied too heavily on the fact that people have already seen so much crazy and bizarre things from Marvel that they just felt, okay, well, everybody's already seen a talking raccoon. They'll be okay with all the other weird
with
stuff.
Octopus inside its mouth.
Right.
Yeah.
Which wasn't too bad, but at the same time, I think
they could have set it up better.
But again, like I told Keith, I'm like in the movie theater, I'm like, what's the deal with the cat? And he's explaining to me, oh, well, the cat is in the comics, and him and Rocket Raccoon eventually, become friends or something? I don't know.
No, I mean,
but I'm just like,
they used the joke in the
they didn't
movie
explain it at all.
Where the Skrull's like, that's not a cat, that's a flurkin. And in the
Flurkin.
comics, the first time you kind of learn that is like when Rocket meets Captain Marvel and she has the cat, which in the comics is named Chewie after Chewbacca, and not Goose. Rocket's like, you have a flurkin. And she's like, that's just my cat. And he's like, no, that's a flurkin. And he's flipping out trying to kill it because he knows what it is.
Oh, okay.
And I don't know. I just think that would have been funnier and a better setup, knowing like Rocket.
Well, even us just talking about it right now, people are like, what? Like, what in the world?
Nobody
and
knows.
And
you have to watch the movie.
I was going to say, but a lot of people are probably sitting there and be like, oh, it's the MCU. That's the Marvel Universe. You just got to deal with it. And I'm like, yes, but the reason why they've been so successful and they've been so good is because they've taken a lot of time to hammer out the details, and they take the time to actually, make sure that these things are handled with care and consideration. And I felt like with Captain Marvel, there were just a lot of tones that fell flat.
I agree with that.
And should we expand a little bit into?
Let's read Neil's email.
Okay, all right. So let's pull up Neil's email here. It's quite a long-winded email. All right,
he had
so
a lot to say.
Promised Sean I would do this, so here it goes. Apologies in advance for the word vomit. My two takeaways from Captain Marvel are that, one, I have absolutely no idea how she is going to solve humanity's little Thanos / half the universe is dead problem, and two, there was a zero subtlety on the feminism thing. 2 out of 4. Probably like more when I see it again. So he did rate it 2 out of 4.
Yeah.
Okay. So she absorbed some power from the Tesseract. Cool. The Tesseract is an Infinity Stone, so that's a sixth the power it took Thanos to pull off the snappy thing. She can shoot lasers and defeat whole fleets of spaceships. Also cool. None of that indicates resurrection ability or badassery greater than what we've seen before. I feel like the Hulk, Thor, Vision, and Scarlet Witch all have stupid potential. I agree. Ridiculous amounts of potential.
Yeah.
Side note, the costuming for the Skrulls was just kind of bad. I couldn't do better, but I expected better. I think we all just talked about that and we all agree.
Yeah.
I told Sean I thought they were more on the nose about it being a feminist film than Black Panther was about being a black film. Probably an exaggeration and not quite right. Haven't seen Black Panther in a while. But the point stands that the message took away from the movie for me. We get it. She's a woman. Women do anything women want. You don't need to be a man. Didn't love Brie Larson. She just wasn't emotive. Not that women have to be emotive, but just made for a boring performance.
No, we understand. Women have to be emotive.
We get what you're saying,
at.
Neil. Gosh,
Yeah.
you just don't understand us. All right. Didn't love Jude Law. Sam Jackson was great as usual. Basically just wasn't super excited about most of the movie. The cat was silly, but then turned into ridiculous. I know there's some comic background there, but he's hitting right on the nose everything we talked about. This is fantastic. Yeah. I know there's some comic background there, but this seemed like a bit too much fan service, not enough grounding in the story. It had some funny parts and some decent parts, but it just wasn't an overwhelmingly wow kind of movie. I watched Infinity War the weekend before, maybe didn't like this one as much because I was comparing it to that. I'll watch it again at some point and probably like it more. I avoided all previews because I didn't want to get my hopes up or go in with skewed expectations. But this movie didn't give me any of the answers I thought it would. And the feminist stuff was just annoying, probably because I wasn't expecting it. Here's to a second stellar podcast. production podcast. Thank you, Neil. I honestly, I do agree with him. Everything he pointed out, we just talked about. But to me, I also think the bigger thing he hit on there was, yes, having seen this film and knowing what they're up against and what Infinity War set up, there really is no idea. You have no clue how in the world she's going to stop. There was more answered at the end of Ant-Man and the Wasp in terms of them talking about the quantum realm.
Yeah, exactly.
That gives you more of a, there's something totally different that I'm not expecting or
they
seeing
mentioned,
coming.
the quantum realm and time travel, and that gives you more of an idea, like, of how they might undo the snap than how, she's supposed to be the big piece. Because that was another thing I agree 100% with Neil, is they set her up to be more powerful than any other Marvel character, but then the movie doesn't. Like, you watch the movie, and I'm like, I don't feel she's any more powerful than Thor. I mean, Thor nearly did kill Thanos.
If he would just check his aim.
If he had hit him in the head instead of the chest, it would have been over.
Yeah.
So it's like, I don't know. I mean, I'm not saying that she's not powerful, because she definitely took out a whole space armada by herself. But I mean, I feel like that's something Thor could have done as well.
Right.
And it's like, or even he mentioned Vision and Scarlet Witch. We've seen Vision, who was worthy enough to hold Thor's hammer and how powerful he was. And then you saw Scarlet Witch take him out in Civil War. So the fact that she has all this untapped potential is like, it is kind of odd that they're putting all their money on Captain Marvel as they've said wanted her to kind of be the face of the MCU after all this old guard.
I would say,
goes
but
away.
are they really? I mean, are they doing that,
anymore.
or are they doing it in such a way that it's like maybe she doesn't have anything big that happens in Endgame other than the fact that she survives everything, and then everybody is like, well, we've had enough of this crap, let's quit, and then Captain Marvel's left to defend everything. It's like I don't know. I don't know what they're setting her up at.
It depends on Endgame, and that's like I said. I mean, the first movie, like I said, I defended Brie Larson's performance some because that's kind of where they set her up within the story as being this just detached, person who didn't remember who she was. She had no memory. And my thing is, it really depends on how the Russos use her in Endgame to see how her character develops further. Really, it's kind of this movie really was nothing but a origin story. It was just this. Here's the character. Here's who she is. And that was it. They didn't really give you any other meat to that bone. And hopefully in the future with Endgame and with future movies, we see more and better material for the character.
One of the reviews that I read that was kind of a mix, it was a mixed bag of negative and positives, but the writer definitely said he was interested in seeing what kind of a performance the Russo brothers could get out of her compared to what he felt she gave in this film. And that's kind of my hope, is that maybe in the hands of different directors and maybe different writers, we're going to see a little bit more of her character flesh out a little bit more, because I really didn't get a sense of her as a character in this film, other than she's going to serve a purpose in the film we're really waiting for.
And what everybody wants to see.
Exactly. And that's kind of like Spider-Man Homecoming. Not a bad movie, but that movie, the only purpose for that movie is to just
establish Peter Parker,
get Spider-Man
and get him in there, get the
for,
new Peter
for
Parker
Infinity
in there.
War.
Get Tom Holland in the series. That's it. That's all it is.
Can we take these off now?
Well, all right. Well, okay, but before we do, I want to establish we're going to kind of continue the same conversation because of all the trolls that hit. Now we're going to dive into the kind of the politics, the politicization of Captain Marvel a little bit without getting too far. So all right, let's take them out. Let's take them out.
Okay, let's go.
Let's take them out.
Keith can't take his off.
Hold on. You got. Oh God. He's trying. Do you want to try again?
I tried, guys. It didn't work.
It didn't work.
I couldn't take
I'm
mine
sorry.
off.
Okay, Sean, you look.
Were we not supposed to use Gorilla Glue on them?
I look like the man in the relationship now.
Yeah.
I'm sorry to say, you look like the man in the relationship, even
All
with
the
it on.
Did I? Yeah, probably did.
Thanks a lot.
Okay.
All right.
You
so
definitely looked like the female in the relationship.
I'll take it. I don't care. There ain't nothing wrong with that. I'm fine with that.
Facial hair, it's no big deal.
All right. So the big thing is with our topic of the week, what I want to discuss is, so Captain Marvel, obviously came out with Brie Larson's comments. We kind of hinted at it at the beginning of the show, or at the beginning of our review discussion. Pretty much lambasted a huge, wide array of audience members who would go and see this film. And, white males is so generic anyway. It's like, it literally is just a blatant attack and just, sexist and, racist in and of itself. But that's okay because, well, they can get a pass. So because of that, though, because of her comments, which were ignorant, and obviously it didn't affect my viewing of the movie. I just went in thinking, I don't care. I'm watching the movie for the film's merits.
Yeah.
She, after saying those things when the movie came out, it had about an 80% on Rotten Tomatoes, certified fresh, before opening weekend. Then next thing you know, it drops dramatically in the user score before it even is like fully out in
it
theaters.
dropped down to like
Yeah.
23%.
23%.
yeah.
Yeah.
Completely rotten by viewer standpoints.
Before it ever even released.
Before it
Yeah.
released.
Most of the, I mean, there are early screenings, but the vast majority of
It was
the
like
people-
75,000 reviews came out.
Right.
They-
Which is
they said-
more than. Go ahead.
Yeah, I was
go
just saying,
ahead.
they said that was more than Infinity War had its entire run.
So,
Yeah.
so it was
so
obvious
you know those
that,
people didn't see the movie.
Yeah,
Yeah,
it was
yeah.
obvious that this was being pinpointed specifically by people who wanted to trash this film because of what Brie Larson said. Now, granted, I don't know. There's two different angles we could go on this. The big thing I wanted to talk about was more so Rotten Tomatoes' response to this. I thought was actually done really well. They took the reviews down. They made sure that no reviews were going to be posted until the film had actually been out long enough for enough people to see. Immediately, the score kind of fluctuated. It's still sitting at about a 50%. It's not fresh
Yeah.
by viewer standpoint,
And
but
I think that's a more accurate score, though, because this movie
I agree.
doesn't. Sean said this earlier. He told me, like, out of all the reviews he's seen, they've either been good reviews or they've been bad reviews.
Yeah,
This movie hasn't really had a middle ground. People either liked it or they really didn't. And you can argue maybe some of them are still, like, fake reviews of people who are just mad about, you know, what Brie Larson said and giving it back. But at the same time, there are people who liked what Brie Larson said that have come out against this movie because they said it's not feminist enough. It's not. They said Brie Larson
Right.
said this was going to be a feminist movie.
Right.
And
Yeah.
it's just another
Yeah.
typical Marvel movie. So you have both sides that are kind of angry
I think-
and they're both two extreme sides. And that's kind of the sad thing is that one day, I mean, it's kind of, I told Sean, funny in the fact that maybe people in Hollywood learn to just keep their mouths shut.
Right.
Because they want to introduce politics to it. And what it's done is really just split, like, this movie down the middle.
Yeah.
And it's really not even a very political movie.
Well, and I was going to
Right.
say that's kind of been what's been the topic of discussion, and that was the other angle we could go is really should anytime an actor comes out and says something of politics, should it really affect people's review of the movie? And I think a lot of it is look, that's the whole point of a review is it's subjective, and if you can only go in and watch the film and purely not think of anything but what she said, I think that's stupid. I think it's ignorant, but if it's because precisely her arrogance that she thinks she can just
That's her
spout
own-
off
that's her
that
own
way,
fault. Yeah.
and,
Yeah.
and that's what's going to happen is there's going to be people who just they can't remove that underneath their skin.
Yeah.
So it's like,
Yeah.
you know what? That's why, I agree. It's like you're an entertainer. Just entertain us.
Yeah.
And again, I still gave the movie 3 out of 4
Yeah, yeah.
stars. I thought it was fine. I didn't think it overloaded on the feminist angle. But I still, I agree. I wasn't so impressed by Brie Larson's performance that I thought, there's an amazing example of a female character that just is awe-inspiring for
Yeah.
all the little girls out there. But all that aside, with Rotten Tomatoes going the way they did in kind of taking down the reviews, but then they're thinking about going one step further.
Yeah.
Which is they want to add in a verification system that now they haven't come out with any details yet. They're thinking about it, but they want to come up with some kind of verification system where they can prove that whoever is reviewing a movie or posting a review
Yeah.
has seen the film
Yep.
Yeah.
and actually witnessed it, watched it before they post the review. For one, your thoughts on, is that a good idea? And do you think it could even work?
My thing is, it depends. Like, is this going to be like Movie Pass, where you had to take a picture of your movie stub and send it? Like, do you have to take a picture of movie stub, send it to Rotten Tomatoes?
Well, we saw what happened on that.
Yeah,
headline.
yeah.
Yeah.
They're being shared for just a little over a penny.
I don't think, in theory, that's a bad idea because I understand the need of, if you want people reviewing a movie that have actually seen it. If someone's never seen the movie and just making up a review, then that's a useless review. I get that. I agree with Rotten Tomatoes there. It's not fair to people who want an honest opinion of the movie that a bunch of ticked off people are just making fake reviews. But I don't know if that's the best way to implement it. I mean, that's just kind of the nature of the internet is, I mean,
You
I
have
always
trolls.
I would say I look when I get on Rotten Tomatoes and I look at user reviews, I always take them with a grain of salt anyway. Any review, anyways, even a critic review, because I might see a movie. I mean, there have been movies critics have loved that I've hated, or movies critics hated that I love.
The Greatest Showman
yeah, it didn't
was one of them. That
I think that's a fantastic
audiences
movie.
were way up there and critics were way down there, and I mean that was a great film.
Yeah. So it's always any review, anyways, is like you said, subjective. It's an opinion. So I don't base my entire opinion of a movie off of reviews I've read online anyway.
Right.
So I think them banning people from reviewing a movie before it's released, that was fine. I understand that.
Yeah, well, I was gonna say, I think honestly, to their credit, at least what they're trying to do is combat, any kind of criticism against their review aggregate.
Yeah.
And they're trying to make sure that they can back up their credibility as to a place where you can go and count, which again, that's why they separate critic reviews from viewer reviews.
Yeah.
And I saw one article that was trying to compare this to when Trolls attacked, they said Black Panther and then Ghostbusters, the all-female. And they were trying to point out the fact that, there were similar attacks on movies that were diversity-driven. I disagreed with that article. I think it was from the New Yorker.
Oh, yeah.
And the reason I disagree with that is because, for one, Black Panther never had any trolls.
It never
ever
saw anything like this.
No,
yeah.
it did not fall or sink in the ratings at all.
Ghostbusters was just terrible. It deserved every bad review it got.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
But the thing is
I mean, with Black Panther, they were busing kids out of schools to go see the movie.
Yeah.
I mean, that's the first movie I've ever heard. They didn't take kids from school to go see Saving Private Ryan. So
we went and saw Beowulf.
Beowulf? Did you really?
Yeah. We went and saw
because
Beowulf. Because it was senior year.
Churches took people to see Passion of the Christ, but
Exactly.
But I mean,
exactly.
how many movies have you heard of schools like taking kids by the thousands to go see this
there
movie?
have been some, like he said, but that was because it was related to the curriculum, and they were like, "Oh, this movie matches what we're studying in literature." So we'll go see that.
I mean, but all that aside, the thing is Black Panther, Trolls or not, I can guarantee that, I don't know, that's just freaking fake news, because I'm telling you right now, when that movie came out, nobody
praised.
It was not only praised highly critically
you
because of
criticize
diversity.
I mean,
If
you can't say
if
there
you
were
criticized it, then you were criticized.
You can't say there were never any trolls, because there's always trolls with
Well, of
everything.
course.
Well,
yeah,
I was just saying,
look at
but
Star is Born.
If you go, exactly. But if you go
Exactly,
hunting,
all the Lady Gaga fans.
Yeah, the Lady Gaga
but
fans
if you go
were trolling.
hunting for a bad review, you're going to find one, absolutely, because it's the internet.
Yeah.
You can find anything on the internet, for good or ill.
Yeah.
So you can't compare Black Panther with Captain Marvel,
No.
because
Yeah.
there is a huge difference.
Well, but the thing is the reason why I disproved it was because I went back and looked, and it was sitting at about a 70% viewer score, and
And it was higher than that when it really was.
Right.
Yeah.
But even Captain Marvel was still sitting where it was, and Ghostbusters was obviously down in the 50s.
Yeah.
And I'm like, no.
Well,
at the end of the
Ghostbusters.
day, trolls or not, a bad film is a bad film,
Yeah.
and you can't sit there and blame it.
Even after
on,
Rotten Tomatoes has taken all of the ones that they think are fake reviews, pretty much everything before the movie's release, they purged that. But even afterwards, the audience score was 65. Now it's dropped down to 61, and the critic score was up in the upper 80s, and now it's down to 79. So both scores, even after the purge, are still trickling down. So
Yes.
that, to me, that shows that the movie came out big, but people are going to see it. And
Oh, of course.
yeah, it's the next Marvel movie. It's going to make money. Everybody's like,
Exactly.
oh, it made so much money. Every Marvel movie breaks records the weekend it's released. I mean, that's the next Guardians 3 is going to break this one's record. I guarantee it.
Oh, yeah.
So, I mean, it doesn't have nothing to do with Brie Larson or the feminism thing. It's just a Marvel movie. It's going to make bank. And this movie came out big, but now the scores are starting to fall because people have seen it, and now they're giving their honest opinion
and
of
with
it.
that being said, though, so then if so are we all in agreement that if there was a way to do it, then it would be okay for Rotten Tomatoes to have some kind of verification?
If there was a very simple and easy way, I wouldn't mind. But I don't see how they could 100%.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
The only thing they could do is just not allow you to post a review until the film has been released nationwide.
Yeah.
And that would
and that's
that
what they
would-
tried to do this time.
That would dwindle
Yeah.
some of the
Well, that's what
negative
they're already
stuff
doing
down,
now. But how
but
they're
they had to
going-
go back and do it after the
Yeah,
fact.
yeah,
They shouldn't let you post
I
a
agree.
review when the movie hadn't even come out yet.
right.
And going forward, they said you can't, like, for any movie, you can't post a review until the movie's now.
Right.
But I mean, the verification thing, like I said,
I don't
other
know.
than
Well, I
taking
was
a
gonna say,
picture of your stub, which
And then doesn't prove you've seen it.
I guess I go.
Pick one up out of the garbage can.
Yeah.
Yeah. But here's the thing, though. So but if that's the case, if the case is like, okay, they still can't prove that you've seen it, or they can only jump through so many hoops.
Yeah.
But, that being one thing that I'm okay with. Do you think this is really just with them being able to not post the review until the movie's released? Fine, I'm okay with that barrier.
Yeah.
That makes sense. That's fair. But even then, do you think this is just kind of like the daylight saving time argument? It's like, is this just something that for right now is causing a stir because it's the trolls have attacked and now all of a sudden it's
I
like,
think so.
okay,
I
after
think you give it time and it dies down. I mean, it was kind of a fluke incident, anyways, because people got riled up over the comments she made.
Well,
and
that's the way I kind of feel about it is how many movies does this really happen with?
Yeah.
How many movies piss off nerds in their mom's basement to the point where they get on and troll a movie? Not very
white
many.
male nerds
That's
in
true.
their mom's basement.
That's
and
true.
here's the thing. That is a fact. That's not discrimination.
No,
That's a fact.
That's a fact. Yeah. They're in their 30s.
Yes.
most of them.
And they're eating Twinkies and Ho-Hos.
Doritos and Mountain
Ding
Dew.
dongs and
Cheetos.
Swiss
Yeah.
rolls.
Cheetos.
But how many movies does this really happen with? Not that many.
This is the
So
first one, really.
Then learn to keep your mouth shut in an interview.
Exactly.
Don't piss your fan base off,
Right.
and this won't happen.
That's what I'm.
Plain and simple.
I agree
She
completely.
was asking for it when she said it. Now, I don't agree with people getting on there and doing it. It sucks because people like us and our listeners and viewers that want to go see the movie and are looking at Rotten Tomatoes as a place where they can go and get an idea of whether they're going to like this movie or not, it sucks for us. So I don't agree with them getting on there and doing it. But if you're going to bash the largest portion of
Exactly.
your fan base, which are
Well-
white males, then
Well, and I was going
What
to
do
say,
you expect?
But to me, that's the other thing too. Is don't not only about her interjecting her politics into this, but it's like at the end of the day, that's the beauty of the internet. Is it's like whether I understand Rotten Tomatoes' skin in the game is they want to protect their credibility.
Yeah,
I have
absolutely.
no
Yeah.
problem with them putting up the fence posts there that they have to try to protect that.
Yeah.
But when you're talking about just run of the mill, it's like, no, I don't want that policing of the internet. This is the whole point, is that people can get on there and do whatever they want, and that's the whole point of trolls.
I mean,
That's
really,
whole,
the internet
whole
is
reason they
one
do
of the
that.
only places left with free speech.
Yeah,
So, unless it's YouTube.
but that's the thing is you basically have that revolt of people saying, oh, if you want to talk like that,
Yeah.
and I don't agree with you, then I'm going to bash your movie whether it's credible or not. It's the whole mentality of saying, no, you don't have the loudest voice in the room.
Yeah.
And that is kind of the point of any time you have a troll attack, is it's like usually sometimes you have a group of people who are like, that's wrong, that's terrible, and another group of people are like, that's kind of funny.
Yeah, it is.
And that's
It
kind
is.
of that's what ends up happening.
And you could look at some of the reviews that people posted on Rotten Tomatoes,
Some
and it
of them
was
are
like
hilarious.
some of them are hilarious, and you kind of know that they're being trolls, but a lot of them are the trolls in disguise, and they're saying, but you can kind of tell because they're just like, Brie Larson sucked, but Samuel L. Jackson was fantastic. And it's like, okay, I wouldn't say she sucked. She wasn't as good as him.
Yeah.
But that's not because he's a man. That's because she didn't bring it.
It's because
or
she's
the,
Brie Larson
or the
and
writers
he's Samuel
didn't,
L. Jackson.
Exactly.
Yeah, exactly. But yeah, I mean, you can kind of tell who's being a jerk and who's
actually
on the level. Yeah.
But at the end of the day, I'm okay with Rotten Tomatoes putting in whatever checks and balances they can to try to protect their system. And again, they even said in their statement, I thought it was very fair, where they were just talking about, look, we just want to make sure that anybody who's posting a review, it's valid.
Yeah.
And I'm okay with that. Obviously, I do think it's one of those things where they're just kind of blowing smoke. I think they're just trying to avoid this controversy
It's
right
damage
now.
control, yeah.
Yeah, and we're probably not going to see anything other than what steps they've already taken. So with that being the case, guys, are y'all ready to move on to our unique weekly segment?
Are we ever?
All the time.
Okay.
Man, I love that intro. I feel like I'm in Tron.
You like that?
I'm like riding my motorcycle in Tron.
well, I thought
my
you'd
light
like
cycle
that
or whatever it was
because it was. I made that. It's you got the Miami Vice theme.
Yeah,
Gotta go
I like it.
80s. Is that
like it.
okay? Look good. All right, guys.
It
we
was
gotta-
adequate.
Adequate.
It was the
sorry,
Brie
Sean.
Larson of
I didn't
openings.
cut away quickly enough. You're coughing.
Sorry.
So, guys, we do have a decent topic this week. I don't know. We'll have to see what you all think about it. Our unique weekly segment Vices topic is, how often Are you jealous or envious of others? Now, this could be a specific instance, or it could be also, I don't know, just number of times throughout the week. If you think, oh yeah, I find myself doing this all the time.
Yeah.
I'm comparing myself to so and so all the
Yeah,
time.
the way the question is written, I like it's how often do you find yourself jealous or envious?
Yeah.
Because I think a lot of the times we are jealous or envious, but we don't catch ourselves being that way.
True.
So how often do you catch yourself being envious of others? Keith?
Keith,
Not
you never go first on
We're
these
going
things.
first.
I mean, yeah, like not so much I think now as in the past. Like definitely, I'm hoping that's because I'm less envious and jealous of others now than I used to be. But definitely, I can think of. I don't know. I mean, I wouldn't say I caught myself in the past, but I know looking back at the past, it's like, yeah.
Do you have
there
an
were-
example?
There were some. I mean, I can think of some, but not one right off the top of my head right this moment. See, I'm terrible at these. I always have to think about it. Like,
I know.
don't
Well,
know
you always.
everyone-
I will say you always come through in the end because it's like after we've talked a little bit for a while,
I always have to. Well, I
then,
don't.
then something sparks and
It
like
has to
The
blossom.
past,
Yeah.
well, the past is just the past. I don't hardly think about it much.
That's
honestly.
true,
I mean, not that, I mean, I do learn from my mistakes, but I mean, I have
then
to
you
really,
move on.
But as
Yeah.
far as like exact instances, they don't just come like to me like right off the cuff. I don't know.
Sean, what about you?
I'm kind of with Keith. I don't really know. I don't have like an example of when I've
This is the terrible
caught
topic.
myself
This is
being
awful.
jealous. But yeah, I mean, I'm jealous of people with a bigger TV than me. I'm
Boom.
jealous of other people's vehicles sometimes. I mean, like my jealousy is almost all materialistic.
Material possession.
And I mean, I'm fine with admitting that. But I mean, as a geek and as a guy, like I like technology and I like toys and gadgets and gizmos. And when other people get something, I'm kind of like, ooh, what do I have to do to get that?
Mm-hmm.
Like, you
have
know,
to
and
be a
I
good
blame
boy,
it.
Sean.
I blame it on Steve Jobs. He's the one who made me this way.
That's right. That's
But
right.
he's the one who told me for years, like, you have to have this or you're nobody.
That's right.
And so I got it. But like I don't have an XS Max yet, but
Someday.
yet.
I've got
Hashtag one day.
hashtag one
There it
day.
is
I
right
know
here,
it.
baby.
Huh.
But yeah, I find myself being a little bit jealous and envious of some of the other things. I'm not jealous of anybody else's life. That's one thing
Yeah.
I can honestly say. Like, I'm happy with my life. I don't have a job right now, but I'm not envious of people who do have a
that sounded
job. Like,
really
I mean,
bad.
I mean, like seriously, that's something that would get a lot of people down. And I mean, it sucks because as a man, I want to work and I want to earn and
Provide.
I want to provide, even though my wife makes most of the money. But I want to at least feel like I'm providing something.
See, that
A-
for
a-
all
and
those
again-
haters out there who want to say that we were all knocking the female, feminist
No,
perspective,
no.
I'm just saying,
No,
right there, here's
my
proof.
wife, she brings home the bread. Trust me.
There you go.
But I feel inadequate when I'm not doing my part. So it does suck. But again, I
Right.
don't look at other people's lives and in jealousy of who they are or what job they have or another man's spouse or somebody's girlfriend or where someone else lives, and I'm still in Louisville, Kentucky, and
Rep.
other people are getting to go all over the
I don't
world.
know.
And
I
all
think
that
you hit
stuff.
the nail
See,
on the head.
That's
Where it ebbs and flows.
yeah.
But you said nobody else's spouse. Come on, I'll be the first one to admit as a guy in general.
Caitlin Fish ain't married.
No, she's not.
So
But
that's not somebody else's spouse.
no, but okay. So you're just saying single women. Okay, but that's the thing. Coveting other women though, and just in general,
Yeah.
women that aren't
Yeah.
yours, or you're not married to. I mean, there are no women that are
Well, I
ours.
think-
that
yeah.
sounded
I think-
terrible.
I think you can look,
Most men do
Look,
that.
don't touch.
look.
Well,
Don't
no, but
lust.
that's what I'm saying. That's exactly what I'm talking about. Is so to me, yeah, it ebbs and flows. It's like there's not days where I look up and I'm like inherently angry about the way my life is
Right,
going.
yeah.
But I mean,
Just wake up
I'll
like,
be
"I'm
the first culprit
Some
to
people
admit.
are though.
I'll look on social media, and if you just look at a news feed on Facebook, and it's like the whole idea behind it is how can I make my life look better
Yes.
than
Yeah.
yours?
Yes.
Yeah.
And so with that inherent like type of feeling that you're trying to give off, you can get lost in somebody else's happiness and say, well, I'm not as happy as them. And so I as much as I would say that I don't struggle with that, I find myself every once in a while just getting down in the dumps because it may be materialistic at one point where I'm like, man, I haven't bought anything, and I haven't bought a new piece of equipment. And when some of this stuff showed up for us to get live, I was super happy.
Yeah.
But then after you hook it all up and it's just sitting here in a room, it's easy for you to just walk by it and see it as something else.
Just stuff, yeah.
When you're feeling low and down, and you're just like, man, if I had that new gadget, I would just be so happy. And when you get it, you are happy for a little while.
Yeah.
And then later, you feel cold and hollow inside again.
Gosh, now I feel like crap now. Jeez. I feel like that whoever it was last week that said that song is making me feel. The song was...
Didn't mean to make you feel or make you feel by...
somebody commented and said,
Wild
it's making
front.
me feel terrible.
Kind of a vein, in a similar vein to what you were saying. I don't so much like get on Facebook or Instagram or whatever and see people posting whatever and feel like, oh man, they look like they're having a blast and fun. And I don't get jealous of like social media really.
Yeah, the reality of it is they're just...
I don't really give a crap about
crap like we are.
Like I use social media, but I don't really care about it. So like it doesn't make me. But I do like people like outside of social media, like people that like I spend a lot of time with in general, anyways. Like I can be very introverted, so there's times when like I just really don't want to go do anything because it's like I just want be alone with me time.
Yeah.
But then when like I do that to myself and like I know other people are hanging out and having fun, then I get jealous and I'm like, man, I wish I was over there having fun with them. And then I'm like, well,
Yes,
stupid.
yeah.
You could have been, but you were like, no, I just want to stay at home.
Yeah, but
I do have those moments,
Man.
definitely.
Right. No, I actually very
Yeah.
much agree with that. I can attest to that same exact feeling. It's
Yeah.
like you just kind of get caught in, and that's the weird thing is like the way I look at it is kind of having that phrase, you don't have too many too highs or too lows. It's like, it's a oh gosh, I forget. It's a Hebrew statement, and I don't know how to say it in
You
Hebrew.
just ruined it, didn't
I did.
you?
I ruined it.
jeez.
But it's called like "this too shall pass" is the way it translates.
Yeah.
And the whole idea about it is, it's like you're not supposed to have too many too high or too lows, because the fact of the matter is, I mean, the way life works is it's like there are going to be days where you're really on top of
Yeah.
it and you're on your game and you feel great, and then there's other days where you feel like crap.
Yeah.
And it's I don't know. I mean.
I actually had that this week, actually, now I think of it. You were asking for...
Oh, okay, all right.
Here we
No,
go.
bring it up,
It
bring
blossomed. Here we
I
go.
was, well, I was just, like, where I just was just... There's just times when, like, you feel like you're doing everything you can, but it's just not quite, like, good enough. Like, you're trying
Yeah.
to get ahead, and it's, like, just, like, work and stuff like that. And then, like, I was just like, man, I just want to give up. Like not, like, on life. Like, not, like...
I want to go play in traffic.
I was like, I don't want to... Not like I wanted to kill, but I was just like, it was like... I'm trying my best. I'm trying to do my best, but things just don't work out. And it's like, just ditch this and try something different. And I was like, no.
Yes.
And I mean,
Yeah.
after a while, once you get back on top, you're like, no, you're fine. You've got this. But when you're in that kind of slump and you're down, you just feel it. You're just like, man, I can't get ahead. But then eventually you do.
Yeah, I'm
and
gonna
you
have
look
to-
back
Well,
at
I was
that
going to say,
moment.
you kind of get over that hump.
Well, yeah, I mean, eventually, like you said, you have your highs and your lows, and when you're back up on your high, you're just like, okay, I don't know why I was ever stressed out.
Exactly, and that's what's always baffling is because you get to that point where you
know where that
finally are
comes from,
able to
though?
overcome it, and you're just.
I was just gonna say, it's honestly for me, it's in those moments when I forget who's really in charge, and I'm like, when
Exactly.
I'm not thinking like, hey,
Exactly.
don't worry about
God
it, God's
moment.
got it.
Yeah.
yeah. And
You're right.
I mean, if I would stop more often and think God's got this, I would, because
Yeah.
there are times like when I have stopped, it's like, you know what, God's got this, and then I felt better.
Yes.
But the times when I forget about things like that, because I'm only human, and unfortunately I do forget sometimes, there are
all
they're
too
worse.
often.
Yeah.
All too often. Because
Yeah.
I will agree. I think it's, and I think it kind of translates into the whole jealousy thing, because in a way, it's like there are times where I'll look at other people and I'll be like, you're not going through what I'm going through.
Yeah.
Like, you don't understand it.
But
and
they
yet,
do.
but the thing is no, and I've always given credit to people, and I try to be the same person. I don't wear my emotions on my sleeve. I don't wear those, on my shoulder, because I don't want to I don't want to affect other people
like, I don't want
with
to-
my, what?
I know what you're gonna, it sounded like you're like spreading the disease. Like, you're starting
Exactly.
to say disinfect. Like,
Yeah.
I don't want to infect everybody.
No, exactly. That's the way I think of it. I don't want to infect other people
Yeah.
with my bad mood.
But, and
and
it
to me,
happens,
that's
though,
the thing
yeah.
is it's very contagious, and it's easy for you to do that.
Both
and so,
ways. I mean, when you're friendly and outgoing and happy, it makes other people feel that way.
Yeah.
But when
Yes.
you're down and miserable, it makes
It
people
sounds
feel
kind of
down
funny,
and
but
miserable.
when you all become dads yourselves, like, you'll notice that your kids, like, when you're in a bad mood or you're frustrated or you're losing your patience, which I do. I don't know. I don't lose it because I don't have it to begin with. But your kids, like my son, can be in a happy, smiling mood when I go in to get him in the morning out of his crib, and if I'm pissed about something that morning, like his attitude and his mood changes when he's laying there on the changing table because he sees my face and he can feel, just even, I know it sounds kind of weird, but he can feel the force of me, taking his pajamas off to change his diaper or whatever.
No, yeah,
I mean, I'm not hurting my child. I'm just saying, like, he knows, and his mood changes immediately. So like you were saying, just how like you being in that kind of a mood can affect other people. As a father, it can affect your children because it changes their mood and gets them out of the happy time that they're in if you're not having a good time. And
exactly. And that to me is why I think it's important. I think, like you said, Keith, have that recenter and refocus. And it's like there are so many times throughout every week.
Yeah.
I have it where it's just like it goes up and down. It's a roller coaster, and you have these moments where you just feel like you're down in the dumps. And then every once in a while, you have to go through that process of releasing that it's not within your control. And the moment that you kind of let go of that stress or that anxiety, you immediately feel this relief of, okay, it's not all on my shoulders. And again, you start to then feel you understand the blessings that you do have in life.
Yeah, absolutely.
And so it alleviates you from looking at others and being jealous or envious of what they have.
Yeah.
And in fact, it kind of makes you more aware of what it is you have to offer the world and what God has given you to be able to go out there and share your happiness and the blessings that you've been given with other people and almost impact the world that way.
Yeah.
And so it's like, for me, I don't know, it's a tough question because I don't think there's any one particular thing that I could say I'm jealous. I mean, it fluctuates. Like you said at the beginning of the preface, it was like, how often do we find ourselves?
Yeah,
it's
really
like
catch yourself being that way.
Right. I think throughout the day, it's honestly,
I find myself every day.
Do you? That's good. You're hard to miss.
Is that a fat joke?
That wasn't a fat
Gosh.
joke. It wasn't a fat
That
joke at
was
all.
a fat joke.
No, it wasn't.
That was a fat
No,
joke.
I'm teasing, Sean. I know what you mean.
But
Because I'm so boisterous.
Well, yeah.
Yeah. I feel like at the end of the day, it's a matter of kind of coming to that close and understanding that, everybody has their own struggles. Everybody's got their own battles that they're facing. And you have to be aware. It's like, no, it's not about who's got it worse than somebody else.
Yeah.
It is about saying, look, and I think that's where you have to come through as somebody who is a positive-minded person or someone who understands what your struggles are, to not be jealous or envious, but be somebody who can pick them up. Be somebody who can actually extend a hand out and say, I'm here to help you. And no matter what my problems are, it's like I can be of help to you and of service to you. And at the end of the day, I think that's how you build not only friendships and relationships that are of value, but it really is how you affect a positive change out there in the world.
Yeah. Can I just say one more thing?
Yeah, absolutely.
It's kind of you both mentioned God moments and stuff, and I'm not going to try to like get all deep into it, but it's kind of weird. But me and my friend Nick, we had to go to E-Town together because our company, not our company, but where we were working went out of business, so we're both out of a job, and you got to go to the unemployment office and all that good stuff. So we're sitting in the parking lot waiting, and he's pulling this book out of his backpack, and he's like, if I'm gonna wait, I'm gonna read a couple of pages, and I'm like, that book sounds familiar. Well, the book was called Don't Give Up, and it's by Kyle Idleman, Southeast Christians pastor, and it's his latest book. And I'm like, I just heard on the radio the other day them come on, and they're just like, maybe you're going through a tragedy, maybe you just lost a job, don't give up. Check out this book. It's all about people going through these everyday kind of struggles and how to not give up. And then Keith's sitting here talking about how he's woke the other day and was just like
having the struggle at work,
thinking about giving up. And as soon as I heard him say that popped in my mind, and I'm just like, I'm supposed to buy that book, or find a PDF of it online illegally or something like that. But no, I do. I think I'm gonna get it, and you probably should too if that's how you feel sometimes. But it's just kind of funny. I'm not advertising somebody's book, but it's one of them things where from 3 different sources now I've heard about this thing, and so it's kind of like a God moment.
Say it's one of those moments where you're like, all right, God, I get it.
Yeah,
I get it. You're
I get
smacking me in the face with this.
I need to reconnect.
Right.
I haven't read my Bible in a while, and maybe I don't know, maybe that get me back into it.
Yeah.
So I don't
Well,
know. It's kind of weird.
I think at the end of the day, it's like I think we've all struggled with this. I think we all struggle with jealousy, with envious, habits, and it's very easy to get caught up.
I'm envious of your hair.
Really?
I mean, I'm gonna admit it. I love your hair.
Really?
Not the wig.
Oh, I
like
can put
your,
that
your
back
real
on.
hair.
That-
Yeah.
I can.
I wish I had.
The little swoop.
I wish I had hair like that. but
it took me.
it doesn't grow. Mine don't grow
Doesn't
in a
take
way
long
that,
to-
that does that. It grows out. It doesn't grow
Like a
up.
fro?
Yeah.
I'd
yeah.
like to see it though, because
like a chia
you
pet.
see, what I'm jealous of on you? The salt and pepper.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I like the salt and pepper.
It gets the ladies. It's got me one for like the last 12 years.
You know who always has a glorious fro? He hasn't had one for a while, but
Jacob Burris. Yeah.
Oh.
Jacob has a glorious
Yeah.
fro, and I
Well,
wish
he has
would
a
just.
beard that I'm envious of too.
Yes, no, Jacob's beard is one to
Yes.
be jealous.
You know what? We'll have to
Yes.
bring him on sometime.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Now that we're on video, maybe we can show people. Maybe after he's
Definitely.
married, gone down the aisle, we can do that. All right, guys. I think that was a great Vices segment. If you all, you know what we're gonna do though?
What are we gonna do?
I'm not jealous or envious of, promoting our show.
Well, go right
That's
ahead.
good. That's
so
If somebody wants to share their opinion of a movie or a review, much like Neil did, how would they do that, Brandon?
I think you know what, Keith. If you can you point down in the bottom?
Can I point down?
Right
down-
there.
Right
You.
there?
That's
That's
perfect.
perfect.
That,
Holy
bam,
crap!
right there.
Email us.
Okay.
It's
at
invisible.
rmpodcast@redmoonproductions.com.
Right, still there? Is it
It's
there?
still
Okay,
there.
Yeah. Point.
Hold on.
What's Sean got going on
Oh,
here?
has he got?
Oh,
Oh,
okay.
They touched. The
It
tips touched.
The tips
Hey,
touched.
hey. Come on now.
Don't cross the
Look,
streams.
I'm not saying anything.
All right.
But email us, please. Yes, right there in the bottom of your screen. rmpodcast@redmoonproductions.com. It'd be great to hear from you all.
Yep.
We'd love to just, I don't know, send us your comments. Tell us if you have that
Opinions.
vice of,
Yeah.
jealousy, envious
Or even if
behavior.
you disagree with
Yeah,
us.
or
We don't-
disagree,
We don't get a lot
absolutely.
of email or comments of people who disagree with our opinions, and I welcome those. I'd love to read,
Because everybody agrees with
Yeah,
us.
we're just that
Yeah.
dang smart,
But
apparently.
we don't just have
But-
email. We have Facebook. We have
That's
Instagram.
right.
We have Twitter, so
we have
yeah.
Snapchat.
Leave us a comment if you think that Captain Marvel's a great movie or that's something we said you disagree with. I would love to read that on
Yeah.
the
What
show.
about promoting the show in the future? What do we got coming up?
Oh gosh, why are you telling me that? No, I do know. I do have something to promote, and hopefully
Uh-oh.
it'll lead to other promotions of this show.
Huh.
So, guys, coming up, obviously, I don't know if you're a local viewer in Louisville, Kentucky, which most of our people are, except for that
Locale.
guy in the UK. The UK is tuned in.
Is he hanging
Yeah.
in
He's
there?
hanging. Oh yeah, he loves us.
Hey, guy, get on Facebook. I don't know. I'm just
Hey,
saying.
guy.
Get on Facebook. Get on YouTube. Watch us. You can actually see us.
Yeah,
you know?
and after that he won't want to watch us anymore. But yes, you can get on Facebook. All of the socials down there too in the bottom of your screen. But one thing we've got coming up here locally is at a local TV station we're going to be on at the end of the month, March 28th. If you can tune your channels to Channel 11 WHAS, we're going to be on Great Day Live. We're going to be on the noon show and the 4 p.m. promoting all of our content here on the Red Moon Podcast. 10 a.m. is Great Day Live, the noon show, and the 4 p.m. Be watching those shows. We're going to try to promote, like we said, we're promoting ourselves as much as we can, try to push it out there.
We have no shame.
We don't have
Yeah.
any shame.
Watch us.
Yeah.
Please watch us. And we're going to try to do more crazy, inventful things on here. We're going to try as much as we can. I don't know, just like the wigs.
Yeah.
That was just a small touch. Trust me, we got more stuff
You
coming
have
in
had
the
but
future.
a taste.
Just a taste.
Mm.
I can't wait, guys. I think, Keith, we just got a nice sip of that Moon Cup. Some
here,
more
let's do it again.
advertising.
Look at
Moon.
that.
Look at that.
It's lovely.
So good.
Coffee
But-
tastes better out of a moon mug.
Ain't that the truth? But,
like
guys, I can't wait until next week. And, of course, until that show when we get to provide more of what we want to bring to you every week live here on the Red Moon Podcast. Again, you can watch us live 9 p.m. Eastern on YouTube, Facebook, and you can download the audio version on all sorts of podcast
Thursday
catcher
nights.
apps on Friday.
Thursday Night Live.
Thursday
Friday
Night Live. Friday, as soon as you wake up. I'm telling you.
Yeah.
Yes.
It's
you can
on
pick
there.
it up. So until next time, I am one of your hosts, Brandon Davidson, alongside our normal new host,
Sean Sebastian.
and
Keith Cheatham. Quibble button fluke quails burrowing thunderous cabbage flinging cuff lemurs.
Cufflingers.
We hope you enjoyed this week's episode. For more reviews, previous podcast shows, and everything Red Moon, visit our website, redmoonproductions.com. You can also like us on Facebook or follow us on Twitter by searching for Red Moon Productions, LLC. We'll see you at the movies.